Hello, my name is Diane Batchelor. Some of you may remember me by my middle name, Althea, and by my maiden name, Thompson. I am now the author of a book called God in the Meantime, and that is because of my connection with the woman who is being featured here today, Ruth Taylor. I want to read for you a little story that might help you to understand our connection. So this is the foreword of the book, The Voice, that Ruth recently wrote and that you're launching today. When does a series of events move from a coincidence to a God incidence? You decide. So it began like this. A friend of mine suggested I consider writing my story. He suggested I join an online independent publishing group run by a woman who offered expert tips on writing. The rest, they say, is history. "Dressy!" shouted my friend at the end of my very successful book launch. I instantly burst into laughter. This word was the punchline of our inside joke. Only we among this diverse group who had remained to chat at the end of the formal proceedings had any clue about the community this name evoked. Or so we thought. From another square on the screen came a familiar voice. "What do you know about Jessica?" Shock! The name held meaning to someone else among us. That someone turned out to be none other than C. Ruth Taylor, the woman who had successfully guided me in publishing the book I had only just launched. Ruth, who very professionally provided me with publishing services, had agreed with those who rejected the first title I had proposed for my book, Stories to Tell, God Stories, and had agreed wholeheartedly to the name change, God in the Meantime, and the subtitle, A Story of Trusting God's Voice and Embracing His Timing. C. Ruth Taylor begins her book, which pays homage to her still thriving octogenarian grandmother, by challenging us with the questions: do you believe that God speaks? Do you believe that God still guides? Well, what would you think if after you've received publishing guidance for your book, which talks about hearing God's voice and accepting His timing, you discover that the person who has guided you through this process turns out to be someone whose mother and grandmother were mentored in the faith by your very own father? This is what Ruth and I discovered after many months of collaboration. As Ruth has now unearthed, my dad not only baptized her grandmother, but also blessed each of her 9 children, including Ruth's own mother, whom he also subsequently baptized. What are the odds? This book, dedicated to her grandmother and which chronicles the stories of the voice in her grandmother's life, will undoubtedly spark a desire in the reader to investigate the idea of God speaking. In honoring her grandmother, Ruth does a masterful job of capturing her voice and tone. You hear it in the telling of how she found herself, despite harrowing challenges in her life, being led to raise 9 children successfully, single-handedly, without the help of a husband and father. She tells a story of how a poor, homeless woman finds herself a proud landowner and homeowner. It tells how she was able to raise her own produce, rear her own animals, and provide for the children that looked to her for sustenance. Ruth credits her grandmother with lighting the spark within her to know God and make Him known. Ruth's grandmother credits all of this to the direction she received through directly hearing the voice, seeing dreams, and signs pointing her in the way she should go. Read this book, and then you decide for yourself. Does God speak? Does God guide? I am Diane Batchelor, author of God in the Meantime. Have a great evening and all the best to all of you. And maybe there may be some of you who remember my dad, Pastor Nathan Thompson, former pastor of your church, Dresiki Seventh-day Baptist. Many, many blessings. His legacy lives on through me and through others he mentored. Bless you.